service quality reporting. We've looked at the numbers. When you peel back the numbers, I would not agree with your assessment. But that's why we need a full on-the-record evidentiary hearing so that we can really peel these back and look at, has the change in the service quality reporting, both what's required to be reported to the commission and what's available publicly and what the benchmarks are that were changed in 2009, 2010, have this protected consumers. So that's why we need this on-the-record hearing, not for you and I right here to be saying, my numbers show you this and my numbers show you that.
So I'm going to interject a second if I could.
Yes.
So here's the, I want to go back to the root of the question.
I wanted to finish.
Okay.
Certainly we're in the midst of a technology transition, and CWA has always been an organization, a union, which recognizes that there is constant change in the technology, and that means changes both in the work we kind of do and the services provided to consumers and to businesses and organizations. And as Verizon first announced its rollout of its fiber network over a decade ago, we understood that this was going to mean change in the kind of work that our members do, but at the same time, it enabled all kinds, it was the global standard, the best in a network. And for that, we are very pleased that Verizon, our employer, took that step. But then we began to look at where it was deploying, and of course, first one deploys where there is the opportunity to make the most revenue. But then Verizon stopped. And so you have these situations, and I think we presented these to the commission over the years, of what I call the donut hole cities. Syracuse, Albany, Buffalo, where the suburbs have FiOS and the cities do not. The lower income, more heavily minority communities do not. So for them, yes, until there is a competitive alternative to cable broadband, for them the only alternative is the copper facility. And that facility is deteriorating before our very eyes. And I brought just a sampling of pictures, and I want to emphasize, these are 20 pictures. I could have brought you thousands of pictures throughout the state of New York of what Verizon is letting happen to this network, a network that was at one point built and maintained properly off the backs of ratepayer money. Dangling terminals, double poles that are a danger to people's, to the public safety, unattached facilities, open splice boxes, open pedestals. This is now, plastic tarps are what technicians now have on their trucks when they do a splice and need to cover something or see a pedestal. And so you see exposure to the elements. And what happens is a customer will have noise on their line, be out of service when it storms, it rains, it snows, call in or try and send that information in, I'm not sure how, online if they're out of service, but online. And if they get through to the repair bureau and get an appointment, when the line may dry, it may test and be scrubbed out of the system and not reported in the trouble reports, by the way. This is something that needs to be examined when we do the on-the-record evidentiary hearing. What are the ways in which these trouble reports actually get into the system? But the condition of the network is not being properly maintained. The staffing is down 40% over the past 10 years. Yes, we've lost a lot of landlines. That number doesn't include the number of broadband lines. But there's still a network that needs to be maintained. And there aren't enough people with enough time to do the proper maintenance. So if it's appropriate, I'd like to share these pictures.
Well, in the meantime, if I could take the opportunity